Okay, my guest this week is Barbara Rubio. She's a relationships and identity coach, and she has some amazing insight. For someone who knew nothing about fixed operations, we decided to have a conversation about how what she does in helping people with their relationships and finding their true identity can transfer into the fixed ops space and help people maintain their maintain their work relationships as well as their relationships at home. This is going to be a great episode. I know you're going to really enjoy it and have a ton of takeaways. So sit back and enjoy Barbara Rubio on the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. All right, welcome everybody to the Fixed Ops Mastermind. This week we have Barbara Rubio, who is a relationship coach, and the title that I love the most, identity coach. Welcome, Barbara, to the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you on. So for those in the audience that do not know who you are and what you do, want to give a brief description of what that is?
Yes, absolutely. So, right, it's a bit of an unusual title, I suppose, relationships and identity coach, but there are two things that go hand in hand together. So what I do is I help people in their relationships, both with themselves, and there is where the identity part comes in, because unless you know yourself and you're clear about who you are, what you stand for, what your values are, and so on, you will never be able to have successful relationships, either in your personal life or professional lives. So I just help people gain a bit more clarity about who they are, because we often live lives that are not our life. We're trying to meet expectations of other people, whether it's your parents, your colleagues, your teachers, whoever, right? And we often believe things about ourselves that we know are not true, but these are the labels that have been put on us by other people. And so the way that individuals define themselves is not necessarily as per who they truly are and who you would describe yourself to be, but we allow other people's impressions and opinions to dictate who we are. So you will identify yourself by saying, well, I'm a bad student, or the other way around. You might say, oh, I'm an excellent employee, and you're actually not. So it can go both ways. You might think of yourself to be amazing when you're not that good, or you might think yourself to be terrible when you're actually much better. So it's about really breaking down your true identity, who you really are, what's your essence, what are the labels that people have given you, letting go of those labels or beliefs about yourself and about what you should do, and embracing who you are, and then moving forward so that you can have clear boundaries, so that you can have an inner and outer world that is more aligned, because we often, have these inner conversations about things happening in our lives. We know that we shouldn't be doing something or tolerating certain things, but we don't know how to go about being more assertive and expressing who we are to demand that respect that we are due.
Yes, I love that. And certainly I think a lot of us fall into that. I think kind of that imposter syndrome kind of falls into that same thing, where you may believe either that like you said, you are better than you are in a certain area, or I think what befalls most of us is believing that we are not as good as we are. Right. And that's as we relate that back to our work life, that can certainly hurt us in our work life and in our relationships, both with our other colleagues and also with our customers, couldn't that?
Absolutely, yes. And I think to some extent is because when people are engaged in professional relationships and you're getting feedback either on your performance or on your attitude from other people, perhaps I think the biggest impact on relationships at work is usually from people who are above you in a role superior to yours. And we tend to take that feedback as if it was absolute truth, when in most cases, people in, let's say, managerial positions or bosses, right, they haven't got the training to really know how to give that feedback in a constructive way. And a lot of the times they haven't put the thought behind, that feedback or that analysis of your performance and character enough to really be fair to who you are. Yes. We're often dealing with strangers. Even if you've worked with Peter for 10 years, what do you actually know about Peter? Very little. So you're judging this person based on a couple of things that you've noticed at work. And those metrics cannot really measure who Peter is. And probably your feedback by following those metrics is not going to help Peter improve so much or get Peter to have an intrinsic motivation to really want to change and to improve and to be better at what he does.
Yes. Yeah. And that imposter syndrome from the management side of things can certainly play into not giving that criticism in a proper way to an employee or a team member, but simply because they may have something that they're trying to coach on that they do not fully understand, but they have to play that role that they completely understand it. And I think it's very big in a lot of industries. I know in the automotive industry, it is lack of training at the management level is a very, very big issue as you get moved up in the company as other people move along, and you're just the next person to take the seat, and they don't necessarily train that management side of things, which then raises everybody's anxiety. It's raising the anxiety of the person that put you in that chair to wonder whether you can get the job done or why you're not getting the job done. It raises the anxiety of the person in the chair because they don't know how to get the job done. And obviously everybody that they are now managing is also filled with anxiety because now they're working for a new person, and they may have totally different ways of doing things, or it may be sometimes in some cases obvious that they don't know what they're doing, and it just creates a lot of anxiety for everybody.
Absolutely, yes. I mean, insecurity about knowing how to do your work, particularly if you're in a higher position, it kind of trickles down. Even if you're not openly saying, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. The fact that you are avoiding tackling certain issues and addressing certain problems subconsciously lets people know, okay, this person either doesn't know or is incompetent in the sense that he'd rather prioritize these other things over actually taking care of business. And sometimes it can create uncomfortable relationships at work, because if you have an employee who consistently is underperforming, but you don't know how to address this issue, one, you're abandoning the person and allowing them to continue to do that, which is negative for the company because it will eventually have a negative impact on sales or customer satisfaction or whatever it might be. But two, you're really letting the person know that I don't care about you. I know something is wrong. You might really be feeling out of your comfort zone, but I'm not actually, and I'm aware of it, but I'm not addressing the issue. I'm not coming to you to share the wealth of my knowledge.
Yes.
And so people feel really abandoned, and people feel neglected. They feel that they don't matter. And as a result, again, they don't try their best because they're thinking, why should I bother if nobody is actually appreciating the work that I do? Nobody's coaching me. Nobody's mentoring me. Nobody's teaching me how to get better at this job.
Yes.
I might as well just go in and out every day. And the day when I've had enough, I'll go look for something else.
Yeah. And that's where the real snowball problem starts to happen, right? Because now you have a superior who's trying to drive a certain result, but not doing that effectively. You have an employee who doesn't maybe doesn't understand the expectations or doesn't understand why a superior is getting upset, and all that trickles down into treatment of our customers, and the customer becomes so then it becomes another pain point of your CSI, your customer satisfaction scores, or Google reviews or whatever, not being what you want them to be. And people may be looking and saying, but I don't understand, because we're doing the best that we can. But it's
But are you really? Is everybody really chipping
exactly.
in?
Exactly. Right. It's not really, but well, and they may be, in their defense, they may be doing the best they can because they didn't get the training. But are they doing the best that they should be doing to actually take care of those customers?
Absolutely. And it comes down to the definition of what leadership is, I suppose, because if that person in charge is too embarrassed to admit, you know what, I don't know anything about this particular thing, so I don't know how to go about it. And if they are too proud or too embarrassed or too ashamed to share that with his colleagues and the people in his team or her team, when somebody may actually have the answer to the problem within the team. So we often see things as a hierarchy, but why not approach it as we're a team? Yes, I'm supposed to be leading the team, and I can lead in many ways which don't necessarily consolidate this idea that I know more than you. We all know different things. Mm-hmm. And if we all share what we know, together we can make this thing happen. But there is a bit of there's a bit of a tendency to look at leadership and management as a pyramid. And so if you're at the top, obviously you're not going to admit that you're out of your depth and that you've had no training. And unfortunately, as you say, that can lead to anxiety. It can really affect how the team works together. Because instead of sharing information with you, instead of collecting data, and instead of working for a common goal, each person is going to be working for themselves. And the worst of it all is that it creates a culture of complaining. The boss might not be aware of it, but people will secretly go for a drink later on and talk about, oh, did you see what happened and how this person dealt with it? And before you know, everyone's bitching and everyone's getting more stressed and everyone's getting more paranoid, and it's just affecting the team morale.
Yes.
And when the morale goes down, that's when an accident is bound to happen. An accident or depending on the context of the work, but that's when people start to withdraw and not be so nice and not try so hard, and it will affect business for sure. Yes,
absolutely.
So leaders must be very, very careful.
Yes, and leaders should be involved, and leaders should be the first one to admit that they don't know it all. But I think there's a lot of leaders that are insecure that if they admit that they are somehow a weak leader or not a good leader, or that somebody else is soon going to take their chair. When the ironic part is admitting that is probably going to make them a stronger leader, and a stronger leader in their team's eyes, and ultimately from the information that they gain. The Fixed Ops Fixed Ops Mastermind membership group that I run on Tuesday nights. This is one of the reasons that we have this group. Is it's a place where people can get together and discuss issues, and everybody makes everybody else better, right? I mean, that's what Napoleon Hill originally described the mastermind as, was two minds being better than the two separate, the two together being better than the two separate. And if leaders would realize that, we would all be better off.
Absolutely. Yes, I think so too. But I think it's also down to coming back to the definition of leadership as opposed to manager. A lot of people think, oh yeah, I'm a leader, but in fact, they're just managing people. They're just doing the everyday work, the database, the spreadsheet, the telling people what to do, but they don't actually have those leadership qualities. So for anybody who's just an employee with no managerial or no leadership position, but they find themselves working in an industry where they like it. and they would like to advance. They would like to get somewhere else within that industry. My advice would be, don't forget that leadership is a personal quality, is an attribute, is something that you can develop, and is something that you can show other people within your role. It doesn't matter what you do. If you are serving in McDonald's, you can show leadership. If you're working in a restaurant in the kitchen making dishes, you can still show leadership. So it's a personal quality, and it's something that can be learned and developed and improved, and it will take you places. So instead of waiting for your boss to be the person to motivate you, to give you all this praise and give you all these things, a different way of looking at things would be, okay, I feel that things are not going so great, or I'm not selling, I'm not meeting my targets for the month or for the quarter. What is wrong? Reflecting, coming up with a new strategy, and you being your own motivator, finding resources outside of your workplace. Forget your boss, because if your boss is not helping you, that's it. This is your job. You're in it to win it, right?
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with just doing some little learning on the side. Take charge, and you might end up leaving the current job that you're doing. But what will never be taken away from you is your knowledge. And that can always help you land an even better job later on. So you've got to make sure that you are in charge of your learning. And if you're fortunate enough to have somebody who's happy to share and happy to mentor you and teach you, even better. But if you do not have that person in the physical sense, in your office or in your workplace, go and find somebody who has got the knowledge you're hoping to obtain, and learn from that person. And nowadays, we don't have any excuses not to, because information is so readily available everywhere, right? So if you're not learning something about sales, about marketing, about business, it's because you don't want to.
Yes. Yeah. Google and YouTube are great mentors. That's for sure.
Yeah. And now, and look at us. There are podcasts. There are all kinds of shows on every single topic in the world.
Yes.
So if you don't like reading, you can listen, and if not, you can watch, and if not, you can, is presented to you in all formats.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, as a leader, if you're lucky enough to work for somebody who is happy to share their knowledge, and to me, one of the greatest joys as a leader is to see somebody who I have worked with to actually excel above me. I'm not saying you want to lose an employee or a great team member, but to see that person, spread their wings and use the knowledge that you've been working with them is a great feeling as a leader, without a doubt.
And it's an indicator that you have done your job well. Yes. Right? If you're able to mentor and teach somebody, whether they stay with you or they don't, particularly when they don't stay with you, you have opened doors for that person.
Yes.
And again, you don't know where those doors will lead, not just your former employee, but yourself. Because should you find yourself out of work in the future, they may be the ones that set up their own business and then give you a job. You never know how life is going to work out, right?
That is very, very true. My dad used to say, be careful of the toes you step on today. They may be connected to the ass you need to kiss tomorrow. So.
that is a great thing to say. I love that expression.
Yes, and it's very true. You're I don't know who to attribute the quote to, but your network is your net worth is a very, very true statement. So to shift this a little bit to the customer side of things. So how does working with somebody like you, obviously if your relationships in general and at home are better, than your relationships, I would assume, at work would be better, because you now have some tools to use to make that work better. How does that translate into being able to take better care of customers?
Right. So I mean, taking care of customers is a little bit like taking care of your family or taking care of yourself, right? It might be a little bit more difficult for somebody who's new to the industry, someone who's doing a specific job for the first time, but it's something that is very, very, very easy to teach and to learn because it's common sense. We have all been customers. So even if you have nothing else to base your practice on, you have been a customer. You can reflect on a time when you were deeply unsatisfied about a service or a product. And you can try to spin that and say, okay, in my role, what do I have to do? I have to serve customers? I have to spend, I don't know if there is a time limit as to how long you spend with a client in your sector. But it's all about creating safe and enjoyable experiences for your customers, making your customer feel comfortable and developing a relationship of trust so that this person, they might not buy from you straight away because not everybody is ready to buy something from you straight away. Mm-hmm. But if they've had a positive experience, whenever they're ready to buy, they will come to you.
Yes.
And we have all experienced that. Because at some point we all walked into that phone shop and we looked at the latest phone, but we couldn't afford it. But the guy was really nice and we remember their name and they were so helpful. And then when we were ready, we came back, mm-hmm. right? So you can always use your personal experience. And it just takes a little bit of reflection. Because if you don't think about it and you don't sit down to actually make sense of it, you will miss the opportunities. But for people who reflect, and people who care about creating that great first impression and actually maintaining it. It's not just giving people a fake experience the first day and then you're a complete idiot after that. You must be consistent. Okay? You must be yourself, but you must be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be for the purpose. I mean, we should all be this all the time in our lives.
Right.
But particularly at work, because there is obviously this is how we make our money, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you're looking for some tips, I used to work in a very customer-centric organization, international organization, and it was all about the customer to the point where there was no alternative but to grow within this as a person in the organization, because you could not afford to be someone who's short-tempered, someone who talks back at people, even if in your personal life that's how you would tend to be. But there was no possibility of being like that at work. And so, a lot of people grow from their work experience. So the first thing to do, if you have an office, if you have a warehouse, whatever your workplace is first of all, you must come into the workplace with the right mindset. Whether that means that, I don't know, some people like to do exercise before going to work and that gets you in a good mood, or you might like to listen to certain types of music that gets you in a good mood. You might want to do some meditation beforehand. So what you want to do is create that mental balance. You don't want to feel angry or upset or stressed out at the start of your day. I'm not saying that things won't happen during the day that might trigger you, but you want to come into work with the right mindset.
Yes.
And you want to come into work calm. If you're a person that you're very energetic, don't drink 1 liter of coffee before you go to work because you might get too hyper. So you got to be aware of these things. For example, yes. I used to be an educator, and whenever I had a workshop or some training session, I would love a coffee because it would give me a little kick. Yeah. But I knew that I would start talking nonstop to the point where in my head I'd be saying, Barbara, you need to calm down. Did you say that already? I mean, I wasn't even aware of the things that I was saying anymore. Mm-hmm. It felt to me that I was way you know, overexcited.
Yes. So there's a balance there between.
So you must achieve, exactly. So you must get that balance. If you're an overly excited person already, just drink some chamomile or have something else, some water,
Yes.
right? So come into work with the right mindset and mind frame. And then whatever space that is your space when you're there, where you welcome your client, make sure that feels like a safe space. It feels welcoming. If you have an office, make sure that the furniture is not all disarranged and the papers are not piled up on the table. Make it visually pleasurable, that you look at it and you go, oh, what a nice office. This guy is really tidy. Or this girl, you know, has used a really nice scent, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So take care of the smell in the place, take care of the appearance of the furniture and everything. It might seem like, okay, Barbara, this is too much. But it's your space. It should feel comfortable, not just to you, but to other people.
Yes.
Should be organized. Okay? If you want to have, I don't know, if you know that you have, for example, a lot of families because they want to buy cars, they're looking for like big cars, SUVs for their family. They might come often with their children. Have a little something that the children can take away. I'm not saying spend a fortune, but have some sweets that, you know, the child can just pick up and go, oh yeah, that's great. It creates a nice memory, and believe it or not, it goes a long way, because it shows, okay, this person is ready for families. You can have some toys, you can have some coloring books, you can have some crayons or something to get the child distracted while you talk to the parents. So there's many things that you can do if you already know your customer.
Yes. And then on the other side of that, it also helps in the future with the trust of the customer. They know that you care about their children, that they probably care about more than anything else in the world. And then the next time they need to go to the dealership, they're not so reluctant to go there. They know they're going to a place that cares about them and about their family, and
exactly, and that is child friendly. Because imagine if you didn't have those facilities, and I'm not saying like it's huge facilities for the children, but if you didn't have anything for a child to do, they might start to get annoyed, disrupt the conversation, you know, start crying or whatever. The parents might think about it twice if they don't have where to leave the child. Right. But if you've anticipated that might be a problem, and you've just created a little corner within the space where that child can go and just be quiet, then the parents will love you, obviously. Who wouldn't?
Yes.
I can take my child and I don't have to deal with them for 5 minutes. I can actually focus on my conversation. That's the best.
Yes.
Absolutely. So if you know that's a type of customer that you have, make sure that you have some provision for them. It doesn't have to be huge. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but for almost next to nothing, you can provide them with some kind of distraction for the children, right? While you guys talk business. So I think anticipating potential problems or just being familiar with the needs of your customer at the time when they come to you goes a long way. Have a water dispenser if you live in a particularly hot city, so that if people don't bring their own water bottle, they can just quickly go and get a glass of water. Or anything. You know your customer, but anticipate the problem and give them the solution without it being really costly. And also, if there's a specific kind of question that the parents will have for you, don't wait for them to ask the question. Show them that you know them before, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Surprise them with, I know you're going to ask this, so here is the answer before you ask the question.
Yes, that is one of the things that with every service advisor who in the dealership is the frontline customer service person for a service customer. What I always teach them is to make some sort of note somewhere so that you can remember something about that customer that is going to build your trust. You know, if you're going to do a follow-up call in a couple days with the customer, and the customer mentioned that they were in a hurry to get out of there that day because they had a meeting to get to, then make a note about that and start your conversation out with, how did that meeting go? I know you're in a hurry to get there. Did you get there on time? Did it go well? You know, those kind of little things that cost nothing.
They cost nothing, yeah.
Yes, and go a long way to build that relationship and that trust with your customer.
Absolutely.
And the same thing you do in your personal life, right?
Yes. Maybe we make less of an effort. I mean, for example, for some reason, I tend to be very forgetful of people's names in my personal life. I will remember your face, but I'll have a problem remembering your name. But for some reason, when I'm at work, I have no problem remembering the names. I can see, and I come across people every day. I mean, I've been a teacher. I've had hundreds of students each term, and somehow I found a way to remember people's names because I wanted to.
Yes.
I was making more of an effort, if you know what I mean.
Yes, absolutely.
And so my next point was going to be exactly that. Once the environment is ready, once you are ready to meet this person, you have to work on that relationship. So as you say, make sure that you remember their names. If you cannot remember, write them down. And during the time that you spend together, try to find out as much as you can about them, right? Do they have a large family? What kind of house they live in? Or how long do they have to drive to work every day? Or if the children are there, what are their names? How old are they? When are their birthdays? In a subtle way, I'm not saying, bring out the light bulb and start the interrogation. But try to be natural about it, have a conversation, share about your life. And I think this is a tricky one because a lot of people don't like to mix work and personal life. Yeah. So they feel that they shouldn't be revealing too much about themselves. And I'm not saying, share your deepest secrets, but be friendly. Share enough that makes the person feel comfortable and the conversation feel natural. And by all means, either have a spreadsheet or a notebook or something where you can make these notes, right? Phone numbers, email addresses, websites, whatever the people have. And as you said, go back to them whenever you're due to call them again, or perhaps the next time that they call you, you can easily say, oh yeah, I saw these people whenever, last month or 2 weeks ago, and have something to say about them to make the conversation, instead of, oh yeah, well, I don't remember who you are. What day did you come? That doesn't feel good, right? You want to be remembered. Right. You want to be the person that made an impact in this person's life, in this seller's life, right? So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the customer doesn't. Exactly. Because to them, they were the only person you dealt with that day. And a typical service advisor is going to deal with 15 to 20 people every single day, 5 to 6 days a week. Unless you're Jim Quick, you're not going to remember everybody. It's just not going to happen. So it's absolutely imperative to build that relationship and to remember those things so that you can continue to build that relationship and that trust with those customers. And from that trust inherently comes them spending more money on their vehicle for things that they already need, but now it's not such a struggle to make that happen. Exactly.
And you're doing something right when people can call you on your phone and say, yo, Dave, maybe they'll call you on a Sunday because they know that, oh, it's Dave. I know Dave. I can call him on a Sunday when he's out of work, if it's an emergency, and Dave will tell me what to do, and I will be at the top of his priority list on Monday, and he will get it sorted out. And so I think when it comes to customers, it's a long-term relationship. We shouldn't look at customers as, okay, they're going to make a purchase today and spend their money today, and that's it. I can let go. If you think that way, of course, that's exactly what will happen. They will come to you today, and then they will find a better place tomorrow when they need something else. But if you're thinking about building a relationship with this customer and retaining that customer for the long term, for 5, 10, 15 years. I don't know. Some people keep their cars for a very long time. Some people will keep coming back and buying a different car, but always stay with you because they like the service they're getting from you. They trust you. That's what we should be thinking.
Yes.
And even if you're an employee
Yes.
and you don't see yourself working at that car dealership in the next 10 years, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't make the effort as if you would. You should, by all means, give it your best. If you do,
Yes,
you might even be able to bring that customer along with you when you change jobs. Okay, and that would suck for you,
and
Dave,
Barbara,
right?
Yes, that's right. I'm happy to help them along to get up to a position, but don't take the customers.
Yeah, don't take the customers. but for the employee, it's like, yes, you know?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I mean, that's one of the things that we teach our team is that we want you to be their car guy. I mean, everybody has, that's my pool guy. That's my plumber. That's my electrician. And we want you to be their car guy. And I love that this conversation just came around to retention. So you who are not involved at all in the automotive industry, and before meeting me had no idea what fixed ops even meant, just brought this conversation all the way around to retention through what you do with people and building relationships. And it came around to retention, and that right now is a giant word in the automotive industry. It has been for us in fixed ops for a long, long time, because we know that we don't want that one sale from the customer. We don't want them to spend a whole lot of money the first time they come and see us and then never come and see us again because they don't think that we did the right thing for them. We want to be advisors to them. We want to be on a level playing field, and we want them to feel confident that what we're telling them their cars need, they actually need. And so there's times when we tell them this stuff you can wait on, but all of that is done for retention so that we can retain that customer in the long run. And then in the long run, they end up purchasing another car at the same place that you're working at. And that cycle then continues. And I absolutely love that you came all the way around to retention with no leading or prodding questions on my part. And that is fabulous. And it tells me that we're doing the right things in building those relationships. And it's awesome that it came around that way.
Exactly. To me, retention is another word for friendship. If you have a friend, you have a friend for life. So they're not coming to a car dealership that is owned by some mysterious person. You are the face of that company to them. So whether it's Dave or it's Tom or it's Samantha, whoever the person that they come in contact with, that is the face of the company. And when they keep coming back, they don't keep coming back for the company. They keep coming back for you. And that means that you are in the business of making friends. You're in the business of transforming people from customers to friends, to people who trust you. To the point where even if you leave, you're not going to leave and say, okay, well, anyone just take over. No, you're going to find your most trusted colleague as well. And you're going to share your customers with this person. And you're going to tell your customers, you know what, something happened. I'm leaving this company for whatever reason, but I'm not leaving you. I'm not dumping you out there. I'm going to leave you in the loving hands of whoever. And they know that the transition is going to be smooth. They know that, or they can expect to get the same level of attention and care and friendship and trust. That should be the aim.
I absolutely love that. Retention is another word for friendship. That's my giant takeaway from this conversation. I absolutely love that. So I think that's probably a perfect spot for us to finish up. I think this is gonna help a lot of service advisors, a lot of managers out there who need to understand that this is a relationship game, and those relationships run from customers all the way back into whatever it is you do outside of work, that all interrelates and interconnects into how you treat your customers, and that
Mm-hmm.
we eventually want those customers to be our friends in the work sense. So Barbara,
Exactly.
I absolutely love this conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
Absolutely, and I look forward to the next time we can speak again, because I'm sure we will have some more great things to talk about.
For sure. Yeah, anytime. I would love to be back. I really
Great.
enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And I hope that your listeners found some value in what we discussed today.
I absolutely know they will. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Wow, that was an episode filled with a ton of takeaways. Make sure you go back and listen to that again to make sure you get all the information out of it. Barbara is amazing with some incredible insight that can be dragged into fixed ops and help us perform better. Please make sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps us get this podcast out to as many people as possible. That allows us to help as many people as possible. Don't forget also to think about joining the Fixed Ops Mastermind Leaders Group Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find information about joining for only $39.95 a month. It's an incredible bargain for the amount of information that you're going to get and the mentors you are going to gain. FixedOpsMastermind.com is where to find that information. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you on Tuesday nights, and another episode of the podcast will be out on Monday.